Today I'm going to be replacing the window seals on my 71 F100. So I already did the driver's side. I didn't want you guys to watch me struggle through that. So now I somewhat know how to do it. So we're going to be replacing both this window seal and then all of the felt along here and down the door, and also this track right here. And then also these sills right here. They're all just super worn out. The window rattles a ton. So we're gonna be fixing that today. So first what you wanna do is take off this pad, which is just 3 3/8 bolts, the window handle, and then once you take this off, the latch right there. And the latch is just two 11 32 nuts. Once you get the panel taken off, next thing you're gonna wanna do is remove the window regulator. So to do that, you're gonna wanna take these 4 bolts out. They're 1/2-inch bolts. And then once you take those out, this arm here is a part of that assembly. So once you take these out, you're gonna have to slide this whole thing back about 1 inch or 2 off this track. And then you're gonna have to wrestle with it to get it out. And when you do that, you're gonna want the window down a little over halfway just so you can see the track. If I grab the right size. I have the 4 bolts undone. Take off the window handle. I forgot to mention, when you do this, you might want to wedge the window or something, because the window will come crashing down on your hand if you take all the bolts out. I'm not going to do that because I like struggling. So I'm just going to hold the window up and then try to slide this whole assembly. Alright. Get this window out of the way. Regulator assembly pops out. And I'm just gonna set the window down to wherever she feels like going. Perfect. And then next, what you're gonna want to do is you're gonna want to take this whole track out. And to do that is just this bolt right here. And then there's a little Phillips right here. And then up here, there is 3 Phillips bolts. So you take these 3 out, this one, and then that one. Once you get those out, you're gonna wanna pop these sills out. You just grab a flathead and then pry them. Once you get those sills out, you try to remove this. You have to pop it free down here. It doesn't just pull straight out. You're gonna have to twist it and wiggle it and, figure that out. All right, first thing we're doing, we're replacing this window seal. So first what you're gonna wanna do is there is 4 Phillips, these 2 and these 2. You wanna remove those. And then you wanna remove this, this nut and the spring. And just be careful in here because there's a nut, the spring, and then there's a metal washer, and then like a polyurethane washer, another polyurethane washer, and then this cam. You just want to make sure that all goes on the same. Once you get those removed, you just want to swing the window open, and then it should pull right out. And then once you get that window out, this rubber seal just pulls off like that. The only problem you're gonna run into is there's 3 rivets right here, here. Well, there's more than 3, but there's rivets here. And you gotta just pull the crap out of it to get those rivets off. And then once you get the seal off, you have to like grind the rivets flush because the aftermarket seals don't rivet on. Once you get that seal off, as I was saying, the rivets, there's this thin piece of metal, and you're just gonna have to pop that off the rivets. Once you get that stupid little piece of metal off that takes way longer than it should, you're just kind of left with that, some half ripped out rivets, some rivets that are completely ripped out, and then you're just gonna ignore all of that, and you're gonna put in your new seal. And when you put in your seal, there's no glue or anything like that. There's this rail, and you just have to push really hard to make sure that seal pops into that rail. So as you can see, there's a couple lips here. So this rail goes in between this and this lip right there. Now, you know, this is probably gonna take you 30 minutes of struggling. Or at least me is gonna take 30 minutes of struggling. And you know what's crazy too is I just lied to you. So the seal actually goes in the middle here. Or this rail goes in the middle. It does not go in between that one and that one. It goes in here. And if you push really hard, you can feel it seat. So I'm gonna be struggling with this for the next, you know, short while. Okay. And then go ahead and put the window back in. So you're gonna want to put it in a little bit, and then you need to get the cam and that little poly washer and put it in there as you slide the window down. It's kind of a pain in the ass. Okay. Now you put the other plastic washer on, metal washer, spring, nut, and then I'm going to put this mount back on. If I can. Cool. And to tighten this nut back on. And then you're all done. Next thing you're gonna wanna do is take the felt out of this track. And it's super easy. Usually this isn't that corroded. Usually you can just pop it out. You know, give it one of these numbers. Okay. And then you'll see, but in here there's just this little lip right there. And the new felt has this. So when you put this in, you're gonna wanna squeeze it and then push it in. Make sure it snaps in all the way. So you're gonna wanna start at the bottom next to that lip. And you're gonna wanna squeeze the felt until you get a little in. Just like that. And then push it so it gets under that lip right there. Perfect. And then you just want to do that the whole way down. To get that bad girl in there, it should look something like that. You can see those splines are inside that groove, and same all the way down. Now, the next part is by far the worst part, by far the most difficult, is this whole seal in here. And they use some kind of different material on these, but these you're literally gonna have to chip it out down here and then all the way back down the door. And to do this, you can just pop the window out. It'd be a lot easier, but it literally takes like an hour. It's a pain in the butt. Once you have that seal out and you're bleeding everywhere and you're sad, you put the final seal in. So this is essentially the same type as the first one. You're gonna wanna pinch it and push it in the rail. And then when you put it up here, you just wanna give yourself maybe an inch extra, maybe put it in the door like that. because then when you put in this piece, you're gonna have to cut it to length. So once you do that, it's easy. You're almost done. And what I do once it's in, I'll just grab a socket and I'll just run it on the inside right here and just push it and just make sure it's all in and seated good. It's kind of a pain in the ass to get it down in there, but yeah, just take your time. Again, on this seal, there's no glue or anything. Once that's all done, you put your window back in. Once you get your window back in, you can put this track in. I totally forgot how to put this in. Yep, perfect. Twist. Cool. Now this part is also kind of a pain in the ass. So I left this nut on here undone because we have to get this window inside the track in the door. So you're probably going to want to push that out and spread it apart and get the window in the track and then bolt it down. It's kind of a pain because you're just working through a little hole. So give me about 30, you know? So after a considerable amount of struggling, I finally got it. So you just want to throw this nut back on. And then from there, it's pretty easy. It's like the same process. You have the window come down halfway. You slide the window regulator on, bolt it on. That's pretty much it. This job isn't too bad, but it's definitely a little bit of a pain in the ass. All right, now let's struggle once again to get this back grill in. So you want to shove this in. Really should have prepared the bolts before I did this. Cool. Now once you have one in, you can roll the window up and down to align the other ones. Cool. Then what you're going to want to do is throw the whole door back together before testing it, just because you're that confident. Once that's all done, the last step is to put in the seals here. And as you can see, there's just these little tabs and they just pop in right here. Now, I don't know if it's just because I got cheap knockoffs or whatever, but I ended up having to trim the outside one. It was just getting into the window seal too much and it was binding the window. So I just had to trim it like right here with a grinder. But other than that, it was straightforward, and once you get those bad girls in, you're all done and your window's smooth and you're good to go.